Get set, podcast listener, and be ready to win with your mentor, motivator, and marketer, Cam Roberts. Grow your business and achieve your goals quickly with the latest tips, tools, and tactics on business, success, and marketing. Subscribe now and download your free resources at camroberts.com.au.
Hey everyone, Cam Roberts here. Welcome to another podcast episode. On today's episode is my very special guest, Steve Plummer. Now, Steve is one of Australia's leading copywriters, a marketing mastermind. He's an advisor to hundreds and thousands of businesses, and he's also a speaker and also an author. So, Steve Plummer, welcome to the show.
Cam, thank you very much, and it's great to be here. Welcome, everyone, and I'm really pleased that you could join us.
Now, Steve, one of the reasons I asked you on the show, the podcast show today, was to talk about your new book. You've just released a new book. It's called The Influential Marketer.
Yep.
And before we dive into actually what's in the book, I want to talk about, like, in general, how did you get into a book? Why did you do a book? Because a lot of people, they think, they want to do a book and, why should they do a book and that sort of thing. So can you kind of, just unpack a little bit about what made you want to write a book with your years of experience, and how's that process been for you?
Yeah, I'll share my screen in a second, Cam, but look, in many respects, being a published author has been a lifelong dream. And, I'm a human being, so I have emotions and dreams and all those sorts of things like everyone else. And being an author was, one of those things. I mean, this might sound really geeky and weird, but I'd go to a bookstore and just walk around and just be in awe and wonder of, gosh, these people are so smart, they're so cool, they're so good. I'd love one day, to be able to have my own book. And so that thread, that thought has just weaved in and out of my consciousness over, 20, 30, 40, 50 years even, so it's been a dream, and I guess I'll unpack this a little bit more as we go through, Cam, but, you would know, because you saw a couple of early versions of it, I'd had this book on the go for a number of years, but for whatever reason, I put it down and I left it. And then one day in October last year, I can remember the day I got up in the morning and went, I'm going to publish this thing.
Yeah, that's good.
And here we are, right? It was that's kind of weird, but that's kind of how it happened. And I'll unpack it a little bit more. I mean, we were talking just before we came on here. I've just grabbed some slides from when I did the launch presentation. I want to share them with your listeners, if that's okay, Cam.
Yeah, that's great. Pull them up. Yeah. Let's go.
Okay. All right. Look, one of the really cool things, let me just, so we can see that okay, Cam?
Yeah, that's come up. Great.
All right. So one of the things I guess I've learned a fair bit about myself is that I've let go of my perfection streak, and what everyone's seeing here is imperfect action, I guess, because we were talking just for a couple of minutes ago and I went and grabbed all the slides, right, that I'd used, or some relevant ones. And so I'm sharing them with you. So this is the stripped down version of what I did when I launched the book, okay, live in front of people. So I've called it The Influential Marketer. That's the name of the book, obviously, but it was the name of the presentation, A Modern Love Story. And, that's kind of, it's a little bit tongue in cheek by me, but it also very much is true, because everything that you see in the book here, right, it's the culmination, if you like, or the lessons of the last, 12, 13, 14 years of writing professionally and writing for businesses around the country and even overseas. I want to start the story, though. That's me circa about, 2005, 2004. I wasn't a writer. I was a deputy principal. And I'm smiling. I was able to duck away from school one day and go on a boat ride with my kids, but then I had to rush back to school to make sure there were no fires to put out and stuff. I'm smiling in the photo, Cam, but deep down, that smile hides some unhappiness. I wasn't happy. I'd been in school for 20 years. I've been to school since I was 5 years old. School, university, back to a school. So I was kind of hurting inside. And anyone who's changed careers or had some things go wrong, I guess we'll know that that grin and bear it smile, but you're kind of hurting inside.
Yeah.
And and there's only so long you can paint that smile on before stuff has to happen and change. And I did it for a number of years. I painted this. I lied to myself. I pretended to myself that was the case. And I pretended to other people, but eventually, I guess the truth came out, and the truth comes out. And what the other thing that I was doing, I was writing all along for boxing magazines, travel, and things like that. I became one of Australia's best boxing writers while I was while I was teaching and while I was a head of department deputy principal. And you can see one of my stories there about the boxer Daniel Gill. I've interviewed every single boxer from Costa Zoo, Jeff Fennick, all the way down to up and comers, and so using words was really important to me even back then. The other thing, so I was doing those two things. I was writing as a freelance journalist, and I was teaching deputy principal, and then one day something changed my life. Words actually changed my life, Cam, and in two ways. One, it got me to attend a seminar in Sydney that was about information publishing. Never heard of it before. This was the days, and you would remember back to those days of the big seminars and things like that. Sitting down the front of this seminar was a guy, and in the context of working as a deputy principal, it's a 60, 70 hour a week job, right? It's tough. You're dealing with a lot of human issues, right? It's really tough. And so I was unhappy. I was working too long. I didn't see my family much. My income I knew was really capped. And sitting down the front of this seminar was a guy, because you go around and do the introduction thing. This guy was saying, I work from home. I've got 4 kids. I earn over 6 figures, And I just went, I've got 4 kids.
Yeah, right.
I'd love to work from home.
Yeah.
I ain't earning 6 figures.
Yeah.
I'm working my ass off, right? And I'm stressed and I'm unhappy. And so I'm sort of almost tackled him before he got out the door. And I said, you've got to tell me what it is that you do. That guy's name was Brett Thompson. He became my mentor, and it changed everything. And that's me on the first day of being a professional writer. No tie. I'm relaxed. I'm happy. I'm excited about what I was doing. That smile is real. It's not a fake painted on smile just for a camera. And so I guess that's the backstory to the story of the book, The Influential Marketer. Because Cam, you and I have worked together on numerous projects, and we've created success for a lot of businesses. But I've also met many of the big names in the marketing industry. Jade Abraham, Dan Kennedy, Greg Renker from Guthrie Renker.
Yep.
Frank Kern, you would have heard of him.
Yeah.
Joe Sugarman and many others. I've also shared the stage with Russell Brunson and a few high-profile speakers like that. That's all well and good, and people can say that stuff, but it's more important about what people say about you. One of my current clients, we're having a lot of success in the rural space. As you can see there, he's our secret weapon. We've been working together for 5 years, et cetera. Just a couple of examples of some of the work I've created for them. And the backstory to this, Cam, is that every time there's a steel price rise and they go to their market, sales skyrocket, but they've had something like 6 steel price rises in that COVID period. My challenge was saying the same thing differently, in a new and exciting way, even though it was the same thing. And so there's just a couple of examples, I guess, of how my mind works to meet the challenge of the problem. And that particular campaign on the right-hand side with that marketing piece did a couple of $1 million as well. So,
that's amazing.
That's kind of some of the stuff I do online and offline. I won't show you examples of all the other things. This was the corporate space. Now, I can't show you exactly what I did for them, but this was a multi-million-dollar thing. You can see there, Dan, my contact there, said it was a 600% ROI to date, and that expanded. That's covered by an NDA, so I can't talk about that. But I've written, from that standing start of going to a seminar one day way back in the mid-2000s, whenever it was, to today, I've written from ASX listed top 200 companies, as I said, medium size, big size, down to small businesses and startups and things like that. So it's been quite a journey. And one of the things that what I've tried to do with the book is include many of the lessons learned by writing successfully and not so successfully too, because no one's that good to get it right all the time. I know a lot, I don't know everything, and I don't get everything right. But many of the lessons from all of those campaigns that I've written, the really successful ones and not so successful ones, are in the book here. And this is one of my favorite all-time testimonials, I must say. So Dave Letizia, who lives in Brisbane, he says, I must say I'm a little pissed off with this new book. He said, there's so many great ideas, et cetera, but I paid this guy money and now here they all are in a book. So thanks, Dave. I love that. It's a favorite testimonial in all of the things. So I guess, Cam, that's the really short version, the too long to read or whatever that acronym is these days. And I just wanted to now take you behind the scenes a little bit, because what does it take to produce a book? Because you can see that the book's quite thick, right? And how, as you can see on the subtitle there, 366 lessons. So one for every day of the year, including a leap year. So it's got to have some stuff in it, right? And one of the things in putting a book together, it's really, really difficult. All people see is that. They don't see the work that goes into it. And so here's me quite frustrated. I'm very right-brain creative. That's my daughter and my wife, who are very left-brained and analytical, putting all the entries out on the floor, the lounge room floor. You can see the TV in the background. I've got my feet up trying to recharge, just over it all. And they were with their analytical left brain ordering things. And, that's a double up. What have you done here? You weren't thinking that day, whatever it might be. And so, like I said, there's a lot that goes into it. And so that was kind of, that's a bit of behind the scenes stuff, which you don't often see, right? And then since then there's been lots of iterations. I don't know how many, how many post-it notes and things like that and cross-outs. It's a process. It's an enjoyable process, but it's still a process, and it's not necessarily an overnight thing, especially for a book like this one.
Yeah, that's really great.
Yeah. There's iteration after iteration and edit after edit. And it's a process. But that's the end result, the influential marketer, as you can see. Interestingly, one of the reasons it didn't get published was maybe I just wasn't happy with the title. That was the first title that I came up with. Most people, when they see that, go, no, I much prefer the influential marketer. The cover's more appealing and it draws you in, et cetera, et cetera. So that's just a little bit of the backstory of the book, Cam. And, as we know, it can $35 plus shipping at theinfluentialmarketer.org. There's a quick plug, but we're going to talk a little bit more about it in some more detail. So I'll stop my share. Any questions around that, Cam, that you might have?
Yeah, that was really interesting. I think one of the points that I want to bring up is that, when you buy most marketing books these days, Stephen, look, there's been plenty of them, let's face it. When you buy most marketing books these days, it's kind of like you buy the book, but you don't really get the stuff that you want. And we won't name names, and there's particular people that keep releasing marketing secret type books. And you buy the book and it's not really what you want. It's kind of just a gloss over of little bits, and you kind of have to piece it together yourself or buy the next book or buy their software or whatever it is. But with your influential marketer book, like you said, there's 366 lessons actually in the book. Yes. So it's not a book. Most certainly it's a book you can read from start to finish, but it's not one of those marketing books that you buy, read, put in your drawer and never read again. It's one of those books that you have on your desk as a business owner, as a copywriter or a marketer, that you can refer to time and time again. And that's what I love about it. I've ordered my copy, can't wait to get my hands on it. But maybe you can share some of the lessons that people have kind of mentioned to you that have got their book and said, I really love page 151 or whatever it is. Like, can you share some gems and particular pages that are favorites of people?
Yeah, sure. And I think one of the important things too, Cam, is I'm an avid reader, right? I love words and reading, being the word nerd, right? That's just me. And you're quite right. One of the things that I find is that even though I'm an avid reader, marketing books, business books can be quite heavy, right? They take a lot of brain power to follow and to energy to read and stuff like that. And so I wanted to totally get away from that. And as you say, it's an easy read because you can read a page a day, or you can just flick it. It's not sequential, so you can flick it open to something if you want some inspiration. Some people, the feedback I've got, people going, oh, I'm reading 5 a day, or I'm reading 10 a day, or whatever it might be. Some are going, I'm just going to flick through it, open up a page just before I go to bed, read it, will go into my subconscious. So there's many ways that people are using it. Highlighter, and you can see that sort of thing with the post-it notes. And that's the whole intention, Cam, that most books, people don't read past page 20.
Yeah, that's so true.
But the way I've structured this, I want it to sit on your desk to help you, to be a Bible, if you like,
Yeah.
that you'll come back to again and again and again. And, often I know it's as a writer, but sometimes too in business, it can be lonely, right? And so where do you go for inspiration? That's not a 3-hour webinar or whatever it might be. Sometimes you just need that little pick me up or that little reset, to go, okay, right. And that's why there's mindset stuff there. That's why there's marketing stuff there. That's why there's copywriting stuff there.
Yeah, that's good.
And one of the, I guess, just to answer your question, then, some things that people have remarked on is entry number 15, and the title of that is proof and how much is enough. And the short story I tell there is that you can never have too much proof. And one of the salient ones, I'll list a couple of examples, but one of the big ones, and people always go, oh yeah, you're right when I say this, is how much do you show product in action?
Yeah, it's good.
And a really good, even though I've never written in it, a really good market to study about this is weight loss. They always show the before and afters. They always show the distance traveled, right? They always show the product and the action that it's resulted in, or the result it's done. For example, I was talking to some real estate agents about a week ago, and I was talking about, well, what proof are you showing, and what product in action are you showing? Are you showing just on your website, for instance, just a photo of a house with a sold sign on it, or are you showing happy people smiling? Or the happy sellers are happy buyers, right? I mean, there is nothing more important to the average person than a roof over their heads and the security of a home and a family, right? And that's the heart of society. And yet sometimes real estate agents are just showing a house with a sold sign. Show the emotion of the happy people, because that's your product in action. So that's one example of, how can you get more power in your marketing message, and how much more power can you get in the proof that you present? Show the product in action as best you can. And it's not everyone's weight loss, but that concept of before and after is really important, or the emotion in what people get when they use your product or service. Those things are really, really important. And I think we see those things all the time, but we gloss over them as well. It's kind of it just goes in one ear or in one eye and out the ear, or whatever it might be. Product in action. How can I show product in action? So that's just one example, Cam, and if me saying that gets you to think about, oh, heck, we could do that better. Then that's one way to really supercharge your sales message.
Yeah, and I can give an example of product in action, even in a what we call offline traditional business. For many people that have listened to the podcast before know that I used to own a bricks and mortar business, a swim school. And what we used to do is when people came to the swim school and the mums or dads, came in for the first time to make an inquiry, we'd walk them up the ramp, because it was an above ground pool inside a factory base. So we'd walk them up the ramp and we'd show them the swim school, we'd show them the lessons in action, we'd walk them down to where, they would go. And it was that whole product in action that you're talking about. So, this works, not, like you said, not just for health and fitness, not just for real estate agents, but, the more that you can show your product being in action to a potential prospect, the easier it is to sell to them. And in fact, there's an argument there, Steve, that if you can have enough product in action, it will sell itself. And that is the clever marketing behind it, right?
Yeah, totally. It's you obviously got that at a really deep level, right? And it's such a simple thing in many ways to do, but for whatever reason we don't, until it's pointed out. Well, how can I show my product in action, right? It's the result. That's what we're selling.
That's right.
Your testimonials, yes, they're important. Your number of years in business and your awards won and all those sorts of things, they're all important. But how are you showing your product in action that emotionally connects to people, right? Because it's that when they see other people like them getting the result they want, that's the moment of connection, right?
Yeah. So really good.
Actually, what that does, Cam, it brings up another favorite, I guess, another one people have commented about is the entry number 91, and it's the title of that is Environment Wins Every Time. And the premise of it, if I can give you a quick summary, is that you take someone out into the desert, drop them in the middle of the desert without food or water for 3 days. What happens? They die, right? Why? Because the environment always wins. And so my lesson in that one is, how are you setting up your environment in your business to help you win? Now, I put it in the context of me and my my environment. I probably can't. Can I get that round up? I can probably just see on my wall there, Cam.
Oh, yeah, got a few photos and stuff.
Yeah. So in my office, because I'm a writer, it's a solo thing for me, right? I need sometimes, because like everyone else, my mind has a little negative loops at times. Working for yourself, by yourself, being a writer in that solitary space is really good until it's not. And then you go, oh, gee, I need to get out. It's boring. I need to set my environment up to help me win. So when I start to have thoughts like that, I look at my wall and I look at things like he's a genius, best sales results ever, and all those things that people have said about me. Plus, there's my 2 books up on the covers of my 2 books up on the wall as I walk in. So when I just look around, I actually see my success. And you might find that that's kind of egotistical, but it's not meant like that. It's meant to help me stay on track and stay focused. So that's me. That concept, that principle of environment always wins. I've set my environment up to help me win. Now, in a business context, and you hit the nail on the head here inadvertently, how do you set your environment up? How have you set that up to help you win? Because if I'm a customer coming in somewhere and I'm looking around and my mind's wandering, I want them thinking good things, not bad things. And you understood that at a deep level, because you showed them all around, because you wanted them what you want them to think. And so your environment is always going to win. So what can you do, as an entry number 91 of the book says, what can you do to set up your environment to help you win, within your business?
Yeah, that's really good. All right, well, let's change gears. How about another one? Have you got 1 or 2 more for us?
Yeah, entry 23. This always is a bit of an aha moment. It's so obvious though, but it's never wait till you're thirsty before you start digging the well.
I like that. That's really good.
Yeah. Right. What does that mean? Well, if you don't have an email list, you better go and start building one pretty soon.
Yeah.
If your business can warrant it and you don't have a really cool shop and all pack to send customers, or you better go and create one. So that whole thing is that, we often, in the busyness of life and the busyness of business, sometimes we can, or often we can, neglect the things that are really important. And we don't want to get to a stage like, oh, hell, I should have done that ages ago. It's that old saying, the best time to plant a tree is now, the second best time. No, it was 5 years ago. The second best time is now, however that one goes. It's the same thing, right? So get on the front foot with your marketing, because, there will come a time, and, we're hearing whispers about tough economic times ahead. Start digging the well now, because it's so much easier to do it when you're energized and not when you're thirsty, right? When you're thirsty, the other thing too, when you're thirsty and you're digging, you become desperate.
It's a lot hard. It's desperation.
Desperate energy gets put out there into the universe. Like, it's quite a negative cycle. So start now, get on the front foot.
That's really good. And I guess there's a lot of businesses, or there's probably not a lot of businesses, but there's a select few businesses, like maybe real estate agents, like mortgage brokers, financial planners, accountants, that will reach out to us. And, one of the first things that they say to me, and I don't know how you get it, but I get a lot of, oh, look, we don't want to do too much marketing. We get most of our business from referrals. And when I hear that, it's a two-pronged approach, because it's like, okay, great for you because you've got most of your business from referrals, but let's hope that next week those referrals keep going on, because you don't actually have a system for bringing in new customers, right, and new clients.
Totally, yeah. And referrals we're not knocking referrals, by the way. They are the lifeblood of business. Like, more of them, bring them more, right? But
they're only one channel.
Yes,
it's just the one channel, right?
Yeah, so stop digging that well. Get in other channels to to safeguard your business, because what happens if those referrers dry up? The referrer, if you're the referee, what happens if they stop sending them to you? What happens if they have trouble in their business?
They go out of business, and whatever, right?
And so we never know what's around the corner. So dig the well now.
Yeah, excellent. All right, have you got another one for us?
I've got lots. I've got 366, Cam. Oh, look, the other entry 238 is always interesting. The title of that is "Drink Beer for Health." And what are you talking about?
There'll be a lot of people cheering for that one.
Yeah. This is a marketing book. What are you talking about?
Is this scientific? Is this scientifically founded?
It is. It is. And the whole lesson behind that one is that there's a study somewhere that shows if you have, I think it might have come out of Germany, of course.
It was during
Oktoberfest, yeah. But the study came out, if you have, and I'm not going to go and read the book, but if you have X number of beers a week, your chances of higher blood pressure, heart stuff, whatever, reduced by whatever percentage. The numbers aren't relevant for the purpose of the entry, but I mean, I love beer, right? Especially on a hot summer's day, and we've had some pretty hot days. But that got me thinking: if you can find, if there is a study that says that beer is good for you, beer bellies aside, beer's good for you. You can pretty much find a study for anything.
Yeah, right. That's really good.
And the more you can build a coherent, plausible, unequivocal sales argument, e.g. by quoting studies, the easier it is to get a prospect from prospect to to customer stage. And so I'm always looking for things that add credibility. And so study XYZ shows that you can and it just so happens that your solution is what the study showed.
Yeah, it's really good.
Or part of your solution is linked to that study. And if beer can be found to be good for your health, Cam.
Yeah. And people don't have to use, it's not their study. They can borrow other people's studies, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you're just quoting a study. And look, here's another tip. Just if you're just whatever keywords you type into Google, add the word scientific study. So
that's really good.
Toenail fungus, scientific study, and you'll come up with a list of ones. If you sell an anti-toenail fungal thing, if you just put after the keywords the word scientific study, bingo, it's half done for you. Now with Chat GDP as well, and all the AI around, that can help you do research really quick as well.
Yeah, that's really good. All right, Steve, now listen, we probably could go through the other 362, I'm sure. Yeah. And so maybe we need to get you back for a part 2 and 3. But
yeah, I'd love to.
For those folks that want to get their hands on the book, grab the book, it's a bargain at $35. Just share a few links of where they can go. And I believe you have something coming up that they can get involved with if they want to work with you on a closer basis as well.
Yep. So question I always get, can I get it online? No, it's a hard copy book only because it's that thick and because it will be this dog-eared highlighted thing. So it's hard copy only. If you don't like hard copy books, don't buy one. Simple as that. You go to theinfluentialmarketer.org. Okay, and you can get it online. I'll even sign it for you if you're in Australia, that is. Yep. Otherwise, you can obviously go to Amazon and Booktopia and all of those online stores. It's on there as well. But if you want a signed copy, theinfluentialmarketer.org. So that's the first thing, Cam. I'm also running very soon it's the most affordable way of working with me other than the book is Copywriters Escape Room. And that's usually about 50% business owners, 50% writers. Basically, we meet once a week and you just throw your questions at me. And that's really based on my experience, I'll answer them. I'll show you some examples. I might even critique some things live there. So if you want my direct help, it's only I only like 5 to 8 people. Just because I'm a bit introverted and it's just a bit of fun. And we'll meet for half hour, 45 minutes once a week. Throw your questions, your problems at me. It's like having me as a consultant without paying the usual fees that you and I rightfully charge, Cam.
Yeah, that's really good.
And if you go on.
And sorry, and how long does the escape room go for?
Okay, so once a week, but it's a 90-day commitment.
Excellent.
Okay? Because we all know that 90 days is a good way to affect change, right? Otherwise, old habits creep back in. So
that's good.
A 90-day commitment. Now, if you're interested in that, just email me, steve@symmetrymarketing.com.au with the subject line escape room, and I'll send you the PDF of information. There's no big funnel to go through with an upsell and a no thanks and all that sort of thing. It's just information. It's pretty informal. If you want in, this is what to do. If you want that support, and as I said, whether you're a business owner, you work in a business and you do the marketing, that might be really useful for you. Also, if you're a copywriter or a marketer or an influencer, whatever sort, and you just want outside eyes to look at things, answer questions for you, steve@symmetrymarketing.com.au. With the subject line escape room. And of course, want to speak to a bigger project, just go to symmetrymarketing.com.au and you can hook up with me that way.
Excellent. And we'll make sure that we put all of those show notes in the podcast notes as well.
Yep.
So wherever you're watching this video, folks, or listening to this podcast, just check out the show notes below and you'll be able to get access to all of those links in Steve's email to reach out to him as well.
Yep.
All right, Steve, thank you very much for coming on the show.
That's it. That's the bad boy, the influential marketer. Yeah. Thanks,
Thank
Cam.
you.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us, and hope that was useful.